House in Baltimore and WNST.net. Happy New Year to everyone out there in our WNST listenership and viewership and readership out in social media. So lots of stuff going on. I'm running around with the Caps this week. We got the Terps going out to Ann Arbor and hosting Indiana next week. But it is NFL weekend here and playoff weekend, and the coaching carousel has begun. This guy's going to be in Green Bay. I hope he has thick shoes and a nice padded hat. He covers all things NFL as well as the Giants and the league for the Wall Street Journal. He is one of our defending champions. We welcome him back. Last time we had him on, the Giants kicked our butt in the fourth quarter. Jim Cherusmi joins us from the Wall Street Journal, and you can follow his journey out on Twitter at Jim Chair. What's going on, Jim? Happy travels. Happy New Year to you. You at least get a little bit of cheese out of this trip, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A trip to Lambeau Field is pretty exciting. But this time of the year, I'm going to have to make sure I'm bundled up.
Yeah, my first trip to Lambeau Field was for the NFC Championship game in 1997, the Kerry Collins. It was 3 degrees at game time. I bought French fries down at the concession, and by the time I got them up to my seat, they were frozen potato sticks. So a little preview for what you're going to have there. It's an interesting week. You cover the league, but you also took a look at some numbers and coaches and Rex Ryan. You wrote a piece earlier this week with Michael Salfino at Wall Street Journal about following the numbers and being conservative or not conservative. I think Rex is an interesting case of a firing. First off, it's not a very good organization. The owner's there. Who knows whether they know what they're doing or not. The other part of it was just not having a quarterback that's more of a traditional, we're going to take a guy in the first round and have that kind of quarterback. And I know Tyrod well. And then there's the decisions that get made when you call plays, and you ran some statistical analysis on this, didn't you?
Yeah, we did a thing about the situations that drive fans crazy. Where a coach punts on 4th and short in plus territory, or even on the 4-yard line. And in the case of the Bills, Rex Ryan's job was on the line. The Bills had 4 minutes left in overtime. They had rallied to tie the game. They had 4th and short at their own 40-yard line, but they knew that they would only stay alive with a win. And Rex Ryan still opted to punt in that situation. And then these are the circumstances where, fans go crazy, the announcers question the coach. But yet NFL coaches seem to lean conservative. They seem to go with the safe play. They always seem to, I think we had a professor that said NFL coaches always delay the possibility of losing rather than trying to take a risk or a gamble to try to win the game.
Well, there's some statistical analysis say you should always go on 3rd down or 4th down. You should never surrender the ball. Crazy sort of thoughts that, like, when you're at a blackjack table and you got 16 and the book tells you to hit on it, you feel like, what are my odds here? But what are your odds against it? And I guess this is where statistics and all this deeper dive into analysis is really taking place in sports, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, I think in this case, it's sort of like staying on 15 in blackjack when the dealer has a 10 showing. Right. I mean, I think that if a typical play, you're supposed to average 3 to 4 yards a play, then if you have 4th and short, you should always go for it. I mean, maybe not on your own 20-yard line, but maybe with the ball at midfield. I think we had a circumstance, we had an example where the Jets, Todd Bowles has opted to punt 3 times in a situation where they're down 2 scores in the 4th quarter with 4th and short. And, the old school thinking in the NFL is, let's pin the opposing team back down in their own territory. We'll get the ball back and still have a chance. But, that's, again, delaying the chance of losing, whereas if you turn the ball over on downs, maybe the other team is in prime opportunity to score again. But you also lessen the chance that you're going to win the game. And at the end of the day, there's no computer rankings, and it's about wins and losses. So losing by 14 or losing by 21 in the NFL really doesn't matter. So, I think teams should really go for it more often.
I love that you found this University of Pennsylvania professor, Cade Massey. Sounds like a great guest for my show to sit around and talk about all of these numbers because, look, the football coaches, they get all the numbers, they get all the statistics. Maybe they're not as likely to flaunt it and that analysis as baseball has been over the last decade with advanced statistics. But we now have a bunch of baseball statistics nerds running the Cleveland Browns, right?
Absolutely. And even our study showed that the most aggressive coaches, which Ben McAdoo, Jim Caldwell, you wouldn't know it by his demeanor on the sideline, but he's very aggressive on fourth down. Dan Quinn of the Falcons and Mike McCarthy of the Packers, they were the most aggressive coaches this season.
What do they all have in common, right?
Yeah, they're all in the playoffs.
Right, exactly. And, I guess this week we're going to see a different version of football, though, right? Like, you're going somewhere where it really feels like a battle, two real playoff teams. There's a bunch of other games taking place this weekend where these teams are a shell of their former selves. I mean, look at the Oakland Raiders at this point. I saw the Vegas numbers, and Vegas numbers never lie. 115-1 to win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's almost like the Raiders aren't in the tournament because of their quarterback situation. Ditto Houston and their offensive line situation. And I don't know that Miami's much better off on Sunday going to Pittsburgh either. It's really kind of deflated some thoughts about these playoffs, especially if you hate the Patriots.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like on paper on the AFC side, it looks like the Patriots going to have a cakewalk to Houston and the Super Bowl because, I mean, 3 of the 4 teams playing this weekend are playing with quarterbacks that didn't play most of the year. So, I mean, that's looking awfully thin there on the AFC side.
No, there's no doubt about it. He is Jim Trusby. He covers all things sports and the NFL at the Wall Street Journal. You can follow him at WSJ.com as well as on Twitter at Jim Chair. All right, so give me a little primer on the Giants now. I came up there in October. I had you on the show. I had most of the beat writers on the show as I do. I did a little bit of wrap-up after Odell Beckham caught one left, right, center, in every way possible to beat the Ravens. No one was in love with the Giants at that point. No one thought they were a playoff team at that point. And a lot of those defensive guys they brought in the offseason that were the highly paid defensive guys, they were disappointments at that point. Maybe that Raven game was a real turning point for them. They haven't done a lot of losing since then, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that Ravens game definitely helped turn things around. And the Giants, this year they've had a quiet 11-win season. I wouldn't say they've been a dominant team. They haven't scored 20 points in their last 5 games, and this has now become an offensive league. And they're doing it with defense. They're doing it with a formula that they used in 2007 and 2011. And coincidentally, they went to Lambeau both of those seasons and beat the Packers during their Super Bowl runs. So I think this is sort of going to be the storyline this week of, the Packers look like the hottest team in the league. The Giants are sort of just beating teams that, they're not blowing teams out. They're kind of just, finding a way to win. But it looks like, from the Packers' perspective, the Giants are a game that they should win, especially playing at home. But, the Giants are finding ways to win.
Well, I'll tell you what, you're up there covering 2 teams. I didn't know if Todd Bowles was going to survive this thing with Woody up there. It's always a crapshoot with these owners as to which direction they're going to go in. There are a bunch of bad jobs available right now. The Jacksonville, Buffalo, San Francisco, the Rams, the Chargers, places where I don't think anybody believes they're going to take over those rosters and win 12 games next year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Todd Bowles found himself on the hot seat after winning 10 games in his first season. But I think, if you keep making coaching changes after 2 years and after winning 5 games one season, then you become the Cleveland Browns, basically, right? And I think Woody is a little bit smarter about trying to basically be patient, waiting through, and giving Bowles another shot. I mean, and we look at some of these other openings. The 49ers only gave Chip Kelly 1 year. What was Chip Kelly realistically going to do with the team that if Bill Belichick coached wasn't going to win many more games?
Yeah, you wonder if 6-10 would have saved him, right? I mean, in some of these cases, there's just bad talent there. And some of it, in the case of Gus Bradley, who's, been there long enough, that there's been incredible patience shown in other places, right?
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, and even Rex Ryan, I mean, I think that he basically was a little upset about getting fired by the Jets and then quickly took a job with Buffalo. And as you said, it's not the most attractive job. And sometimes these coaches find themselves in situations where it's not a winnable situation. And, especially with some of these openings here, I mean, it's going to be hard to win right away in any of these places.
Well, yeah, and it goes back to the quarterback. I mean, all of these places have suspect situations at the quarterback position other than San Diego, and they have suspect franchise situations, which I'm sure you guys will be covering at the Wall Street Journal as well, keeping us abreast and all that. Hey, man, we'll see you down in Houston in a couple weeks. Always a pleasure to follow you out on Twitter and see your work out at Wall Street Journal. I appreciate you coming on and talking with us a while.
All All right. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Jim Cherusmi joining us here. He is from the Wall Street Journal. You can follow his journey out on Twitter at Jim Chair. That's CHAIR, like the one I'm sitting in right now here. You can find me sitting in your chair, standing, or in line anywhere in the Buy a Toyota Audio Vault. 24 hours a day, we're there for you. Download podcasts, listen when you want, where you want, how you want, to what you want. It's all brought to you by buyatoyota.com. Morning newspaper ships to your email inbox at 7 a.m. each and every morning. That is powered up by Planet Fitness and PlanetFitness.com. Still $10 a month to get in the best shape of your life there. Last but never least, any breaking news out of Owings Mills. There was no breaking news on the coaching yet, as well as the Orioles dumpster diving here in the coming weeks, heading to Sarasota. If it's big, you'll get it first on the WNST Tech Service. It's all brought to you by Coons Ford of Security Boulevard, and Dennis Kolatzos will be here on Thursday, driving you home from 3 until 5. It is the SSV on WNST. I'm Nestor. Nasty at WNST.net reaches me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook and our YouTube, and biding my time, watching playoff games, attending Caps and Terps games, and waiting for Super Bowl 51 in Houston. We'll be there later in the month, and building it, making it better and bigger, and fixing my studio up a little bit, doing some other stuff around here. It's all good. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.